Welcome to the December 2nd, 2019 Troy City Council meeting. This evening we are honored to have Councilmember Hoderick lead us with an invocation. So please rise and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance afterward.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. Father God, please be with us tonight in this most beautiful, diverse community. As we come together after celebrating a Thanksgiving weekend, we are thankful for this city, and everything that we have here to oversee tonight is very important to us. We ask that you bring us wisdom as we work together to make decisions that benefit the entire community. As always, we ask you to be with our first responders, police, fire, ambulance, and even our DPW as they may be out helping to assist as weather conditions worsen as we go into the winter season. We thank you for all we have. Please help us shepherd it carefully and with the greatest integrity as we move forward with our decision making this evening. And with that, all the people said, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The December 2nd, 2019 Troy City Council meeting is now called to order. The roll call, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Here.
Councilmember Abraham?
Here.
Councilmember Brooks?
Here.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Here.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Here.
Councilmember Pennington?
Here. All present. This evening, we start with certificates of recognition and special presentations. We have some fun ones tonight. First up is C1. It's a certificate of recognition and congratulations to the Athens High School 2019 Boys Varsity Soccer Team, MHSAA Division I State Champions. If you gentlemen will come up and meet me at the podium, I have a proclamation to read and some individuals' commendations for you.
That's a lot of people.
It's very impressive.
Make your way all the way around.
Feel short.
How's it going for you?
You can spread out for now, and then we'll do a group photo where we can get a little closer. So. Feel like I'm under attack? Wow. Well, this is so exciting, and we are so excited. City Council members and I are very, very excited to have you here this evening. I know you've been receiving lots of accolades, but we want to take this time to wish you congratulations on all your success. To be state champions is really something phenomenal. You know, the former mayor got to do a video on your behalf before the big game, but I get to do the actual congratulations. So very excited and honored to do that. And I have a certificate of recognition and congratulations here that I'd like to read into the record, which will get presented to the school. And then I have individual copies for each of you. So when I say your name, I don't know who you are, so please come forward and I'll hand you your copy, okay? I realize that's the one downfall to my plan. But and the other thing is I was going to let the audit presentation go first before you guys, but I thought I'd do you a favor and let you go. No offense, Rob. All right, this is a certificate of recognition and congratulations to Athens High School 2019 Boys Varsity Soccer Team, the MHSAA Division I State Champions. Whereas the Athens High School 2019 Boys Varsity Soccer Team won the Michigan High School Athletic Association Division I Boys Soccer Championship on November 2nd in Grand Rapids, beating Traverse City West High School 4-1 in overtime for the title. And whereas the 3-goal overtime gave Troy Athens its first state championship since 1997 and the 5th state title in Athens soccer history. And where a special commendation is due to Captains Davis Giovanni. You here? There you go. This one's for you. Thank you. Jason Kemp. Right here. That was an easy one. Thank you. Andri Miftari. And Donovan Sharp. And team members Evan Arndt. There you go. Gage Bidul. Enos Buzgivi, I'm sorry, I'm almost as bad as the former mayor. So, Enes Buzgiov, Is that close at all? Sorry if it wasn't. All right. Paul Siak?
Yeah, that's close.
Close. Drew Dionisio? Matthew Gothrop? Cameron Graciosi? Ryan Gruka? Zach Hanush? Rishi Kalyan?
Thank you. Very welcome.
Anthony Kapala? Quinn LeBay? Austin Lucer? Jaden Mikowski, is he sick?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll save one for him. We'll make sure he gets one. Garrett Murbach. You're very welcome. Jack Musto. Nick Newbecker. Abel Noble. TJ Renaud. You're very welcome. Luke Schmidt. Nikhil Somani. Jacob Steiner. Who doesn't have one? You have it. Okay, good. Scared me. Does everybody have one? All right, good. That was terrifying. All right, very good. And whereas this has been an exciting, hard-fought soccer season with a 23-2-1 record, and we are proud of the title you have earned and the winning reputation you have brought to our community and your school. The Red Hawks had 15 shutouts for the season and allowed a total of just 14 goals in 26 games. And whereas we applaud and congratulate boys varsity soccer head coach Todd Hugh, who took over in 2011, Coach Hugh, and is only the second coach in Athens boys soccer history. Here's a fun fact. With this victory, Coach Hugh has now won a state championship as a player for Athens High in 1989 and as a coach. So it's pretty fantastic. Also, congratulations to assistant coaches Frank Mancini. There you go. Jason Fawcett. He could not make it. We'll make sure he gets that. Chris Conklin. And trainer Brian Troll Baines. See here? No? No. Hope that's everybody, because I'll ask about Troll another time. But for their commitment to the Athens High boys varsity soccer team. So now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Troy commends the Athens High School 2019 boys varsity soccer team for their fine efforts and extends this token of affection and admiration with which you are regarded in this city. And be it further resolved that the City Council of the City of Troy joins the citizens of the community in the appreciation and celebration of the 2019 Athens High School boys varsity soccer team as the MHSSA Division I state champions. This is presented the second day of December 2019, signed by myself as mayor, all members of the City Council who are very proud and sitting behind you. And we congratulate you, and we're so happy for your success, and I know the community is as well. So.
Sure, I'll say real quick. Sorry. No, wonderful. I would just like to thank you, the mayor and city council, for inviting us here tonight. I always like to take the opportunity to brag a little bit about our players' achievements in the classroom as well. This is a team that carries a little bit over a 3.6 grade point average as a team, cumulative grade point average. We're just somewhere between 3.6 and 3.7. So we're really proud of what not only they're doing on the soccer field, but also in the classroom as well. So thank you for having us tonight.
Before we get a picture, I was told before the meeting, please make sure they go first and give them time to leave because they have homework to do tonight. So they are dedicated. So we do want to get a picture, so I don't know if we can all squeeze over to one side as best we can.
Yeah, some of you guys are going to have to start taking it.
Not it.
Yeah.
Tall guys in the back.
You're right in front of me. I have to shake your hand for a second.
Oh, we got the parents.
Congrats.
Right.
That's kind.
Let me see. Football football coach here. Ed, we can tell you're the football coach here.
There's no hiding. I have to resist photobombing.
Okay, everybody look here. 1, 2, 3.
It's a great picture. Nice job, you guys.
Hey, Ken.
Awesome. You're like Lou Whitaker. There's like a Lou. What's your name?
Congrats.
Fire up, go Hawks.
So they say Finn. I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so
Do
cool.
any sports, Nathan?
No.
I tried football and got injured.
Reading off the numbers, do you have one?
Yep.
It's a pretty big deal, though. Division One state champ.
Oh, it's amazing, and the shutout was really amazing.
Yeah.
We're gonna try it next.
Nice.
Give him one more second.
Cleared out the house.
Ryan, thank you for all you dedicated folks to stay, and you'll be here for the whole meeting, right? So, next up on the agenda is C2. It's a presentation on behalf of the City of Troy Employee Casual for a Cause program for the months of September and October 2019. I see Community Affairs Director Cindy Stewart coming forward.
Good evening again, Mayor and City Council, and I have Jennifer Racanti. She is the Executive Director of On My Own, and it is with great pleasure that the employees raised $576 for On My Own for the months of September and October.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We provide skill-building workshops, social activities, and one-on-one support to individuals with developmental disabilities who wish to live on their own. And 22 years ago, we selected Troy as our home because of its safety, accessibility, and generosity. This is just one more example of the tremendous generosity we've experienced since being here. So on behalf of the 57 individuals we serve, thank you for allowing them to live the lives of their dreams right here in Troy.
Thank you for your service. Next up is C3. It's a presentation to Troy City Council of the 2018 to 2019 Troy Youth Assistance Annual Report, and it'll be by Troy Youth Assistance Co-Chair David Recker this evening.
Good evening. My name is David Recker, and I'm the Assistant Principal of Larson Middle School in the Troy School District, as well as the Co-Chair of Troy Youth Assistance Executive Committee, along with Shari Paulus, Principal of Hill Elementary School. Tonight, I would like to thank the City of Troy for its ongoing support of TYA and provide a summary of our annual report. Troy Youth Assistance is a nonprofit organization committed to strengthening youth in families by preventing and reducing juvenile delinquency, child neglect, and child abuse through community involvement. As our report shows, during the 2018-2019 school year, TYA continued to serve more young people than ever and their families by facilitating family education on a variety of topics, offering short-term counseling services to youth in crisis, involving youth in positive activities, providing scholarships for youth camps and skill-building opportunities, pairing students with positive mentors, and recognizing youth who serve their community. We invite you to refer to our annual report to peruse further statistics about our clientele and services. Additionally, we welcome future opportunities to work together to serve our community. Are there any questions I can answer for the council at this time?
Any questions from council? Councilwoman Hodrick.
Thank you for being here tonight and for serving as co-chair. It's great to see you here and appreciate your involvement. The Mentors Plus program, in the past, sometimes we've heard, we can always use more mentors. Is that still the case, and could you use mentors now?
It is absolutely the case. Thank you for bringing that up. That is probably the biggest need we still have from our community at large is for individuals interested in serving as mentors. So anyone who's interested, if they would reach out to the Troy Youth Assistance Office, we could get that process started.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Recker, thank you very much. Thank you you've got some friends here from TYA giving you support, and we thank you for all your hard work for the community as well. And we know how valuable your services are to us, and we thank you. So
thank you
good
very
work.
much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is C4. It's an audit presentation by our new Chief Financial Officer, Rob Malzik. Rob.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'm looking very forward to presenting this to you tonight, and thank you for this opportunity. With me, I have Nate Balderman from Raymond Robson, and he'll be here to help also present. So first off, I wanted to talk to you about what the deliverables were from the audit. The first thing that you received was this comprehensive annual financial report for 2019. This report was put together from my finance team and also from Raymond and Robson. So it was a combined effort to put this report together. The second deliverable is the independent auditor's communication with those charged with governance. That's you guys. You guys are charged with governance. And this letter came to you today. And so basically what this letter is, it's an extension of the engagement letter that we signed back in August. And it talks about the scope. It also talks about comments and recommendations that Raymond Robson has for us. It also talks about upcoming changes to the GASBs and any type of financial reporting. And it also talks about our management representations that the management team here made to Raymond Robson to make sure that we have a good financial report. The other thing that I want to do tonight is also go through a few handful of slides as it relates to the general fund, and we'll go through those regarding revenues, expenditures, and fund balance. To cut to the chase, for fiscal year 2019, the city earned an unmodified opinion. That's the highest opinion that we can get as a municipality. It's definitely something to be proud of, that this community should be very proud that we were able to accomplish this. I might have stole Nate's thunder, but I'm going to turn it over to Nate now, and he can go through the two deliverables as well.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. As I've done in the past, I'm just going to briefly kind of reiterate what he said, talk about what an audit is, and then, turn it back over to him. And then I think at the end, the plan was to kind of have, if you had any questions, we could answer those at the time. It's kind of a change this year, and I guess I should start. I want to thank the finance team. This year was obviously a year at transition for us. Dealt with John and Lisa as we were going throughout the audit process, and the rest of the team, and then also Rob as we were finishing up the audit. He was in by the time we finished, so the last few things, finishing up the report, getting the report ready, Rob was helping out at that time as well. So again, it was a smooth process this year. I think it went very well. In terms of the audit, a little bit of a difference this year is we did assist in preparing the report. In past years, it was something that the city had prepared. So the formatting is just a little bit different. We kind of transitioned it back to kind of more of our standard approach when we're preparing the financial statements. But that doesn't change overall the responsibility for the financial statements. It was just an efficiency measure, especially this year, in terms of going through and with us preparing those statements in that transition. So the responsibility for preparing financial statements still lies with management, and it's management's responsibility. And if you look at the audit opinion, it kind of lays this out. The responsibility for preparing the financial statements and and for internal controls over financial reporting to make sure that those financial statements are fairly stated is the responsibility for management. Our responsibility then is to plan an audit and perform an audit so we can give an opinion. That's our ultimate objective, is to give that opinion, and as he mentioned, you have an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. As a secondary matter as relates to the audit, if things come to our attention during our audit that rise to a certain level, we are then required to report those items to you. We follow generally accepted auditing standards as well as the government auditing standards. Sometimes they're referred to as the Yellow Book. We're required to follow those standards and report under those standards. So nothing rise to the level. There's a report in the back that would be a material or weakness or significant deficiency. Which is a good thing. There were no findings in the report. So, and as he said, we have other items that are reported in this letter, but they don't rise to the same level. So. And with that, I'd turn it back over to Rob.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate that. So now I thought I'd walk you through some general fund numbers. And if you look at the screen there, we have general fund revenues. And what it is that's a 10-year look. And the reason why we went with 10 years is to show you that back in 2010, we were over $60 million in revenue. And then the recession hit, and in 2012 and 13, we dipped to a low. And you can see a gradual increase all the way through 2019. I wanted to point out that we still, 10 years later, still are below our 2010 levels. So we've had to do a really good job of curtailing our expenses during that time. We've had to do more with less, and obviously we've done that. A major part of us not capturing revenues back is because of the Headley Amendment that I'm sure you're all aware of, that makes sure that we cannot have any more than in our property taxes inflation or 5%, whatever's less. Just for the point that we were 4.2% higher in 2019 than 2018. The next slide shows general fund revenues by source, budget to actual as well. And what I wanted to point out in this slide was that investment earnings and fines and forfeitures are the two major items that helped us have an actual to budget favorable variance in revenues. This next slide on revenues shows the different categories by source, and as you can see, we have our property taxes are more than half of the revenue that we have in the general fund. If you look at two other categories, the next two biggest, it's intergovernmental, which is state shared revenue primarily, and then 13% for charges of services. Those are items like the fees that we charge for our recreation center, engineering services, et cetera. So when you look at those three main items, that's about 80% of our revenue by source. I'm going to move over to expenditures real quick. And the expenditures, budget to actual, again, I wanted to show you a 10-year graphical of this. And again, you can see in 2010, we were over $60 million. And then it dipped again in 2012 and 13, as you can see there. A big point that I want to make out on this graph is that if you notice the budget to actual, each year we have a pretty sizable variance. And so that's just showing good stewardship of the dollars that you guys appropriate for us as a management team and as employees. So because of our conservative budgeting and because of the hard work of our employees and department heads, each year we return a good amount of money to this fund balance through this favorable budget to actual variance. General fund expenditures by function. We cut that across general government, public safety, public works, and recreation and culture. And what I wanted to point out on this slide is that all four of those functions were reasons why we had a favorable budget to actual variance in the current year. So it wasn't just one item, it was all the functions that were below budget. General fund expenditures by function. Again, if you look at this, we have over 50%, but it's actually 55% is to public safety. That's basically because of our city's commitment to the taxpayers to use our resources wisely with police and fire resources to keep our community safe. And if you actually look at that 3%, that red operating transfers out, that 3% were for the purchase of a couple fire trucks. So really, public safety in the current year is closer to 58%. I apologize for how busy this slide looks, but what I want you to focus in on is the unassigned fund balance. That unassigned fund balance is the blue, and that in the current year is at $19.7 million. And that blue, the unassigned fund balance, is money that we can spend in the current year. It's not restricted by any means. It's not unspendable, so that money is available to us. But I know Councilmember Huderick in the last council meeting had mentioned the key to having a strong fund balance and making sure that our bond rating stays stable at AAA. And she brought up the point that, Standard & Poor's rating is so critical because we're capped at that 6.5 mils. So having a fund balance is so critical. And I wanted to, I think you mentioned at the last meeting about in 2012 we had, you had talked to our bond counsel about, some of the attributes that Standard & Poor's is looking for. Well, I can tell you that Standard & Poor's has changed how they do our bond rating, and they've actually got 7 attributes that make up our bond rating. And one of them is budget flexibility. This slide shows that we do have budget flexibility. A fund balance is critical for budget flexibility. So I just wanted to thank you for bringing that up at the last meeting, because this is so critical to making sure that we stay financially sound, and also that we stay sound and protect our bond rating. The last slide I have for you is the city received this Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. It's an honor to get this. The city's been great with it. 22 years in a row, they've received this prestigious award. Lisa Burnham, my finance manager, and her team deserve a lot of our gratitude for all their hard work and efforts in achieving this award. She was sick this afternoon, so she wasn't able to be here today, but I wanted to publicly thank her for all her hard work in the 4 weeks I've been here, helping onboard me, and she's made my job a lot easier, so I just wanted to thank her publicly. We also receive an award for the popular annual financial report, which is a smaller booklet. It's about 20 pages or so. And I believe that based upon what we've done so far for 2019, we will receive this award again in 2019, and also for the PAFR as well. So I think we will meet all the requirements again. So that's mine and Nate's report to you guys as our governance, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening today, and if you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Rob, and the whole Mark and the whole team for all your hard work. It's fantastic as always. My question was, when we saw those numbers that showed budget versus actual throughout the years, is that the nominal amount or the inflation-adjusted amount?
No, those are the real numbers.
Wow, so yeah, if you adjust for inflation, it's even more
correct.
Prominent how we've never really restored our revenue from before the recession.
That's right.
And then my other question was for the Standard & Poor's bond rating, what level of fund balance do they consider like their point? I know we're trying to be 20 to 30%, and despite our best efforts, we keep ending up over 30%. It looks like we gained more again this year, which is good to hear, but at the same time, I'm curious, what level do they look for to keep a AAA bond rating? Do you have any insight on that?
They never specify a certain amount. Standard in the industry is 15 to 20%. We here in Troy put 20 to 30%. So as a very conservative accountant, I love the 20 to 30%, and I'm proud that we also have other components of fund balance. We've put some money in the assigned fund balance for things like our lawsuits or anything like that. We also put money aside for the prior year budget, and we also put money away for other things that are not touchable, like the money that the golf courses owe us, et cetera. So I'm very happy with where we're at with our fund balance, and like you said, we're over the 30%, but barely.
Right.
And we have such necessary capital needs that I'm sure we'll find a good home for that.
Great, thank you.
Other questions? Comments? Councilmember Hoderick?
The state shared revenue are, I may be putting you on the spot here.
Sure.
But are we hearing more from Lansing about the return of that? There's many cities across the state that are struggling tremendously with regard to that shared revenue that never came back to them. Because we're conservative, we've been weathering the storm, but we could use those dollars as well.
Correct.
What are you hearing?
So my understanding, I'll defer this also to Nate, but from my perspective, it's gone up the last few years around 2% to 3%. So they've been steady with that, but I don't think there's any money that's coming anytime soon that would replace that lost revenue. I know in my previous employer, it was over $60 million that they were owed. Did you want to?
And I just reiterate that I haven't heard anything and haven't heard any kind of expectation that that's going up anytime soon. And I think, honestly, looking at the budget picture this year and where things have gone, I can't see it coming back anytime soon. So
they're probably going to spend all that money to fix the darn roads. So.
Just a little bit of a follow-up. I see former Councilwoman Robin Beltramini here tonight, and she's the one that educated me on a number of issues back when we were having the library discussion back 10 years ago, and fighting to save the library, but fighting to do it in a fiscally responsible way. And I can remember point blank asking her as a citizen out in the hallway during a meeting break, I said to her, can't we just use our fund balance? Can't we save it that way? And she said that's how Lansing got itself into trouble. She held fast, as many members on council did, to be very fiscally responsible and conservative. So you can stand here tonight, and we can be here collectively in a position where we really are able to make some very wise decisions and continue to protect that bond rating. And just a little historical, Councilman Pennington was part of that discussion when we chose that 20 to 30% range. That was advice that came to us. It was a very conservative level to pick. But again, based on the fact that state shared revenue and the costs of our roads, we've been bearing the burden of that in a very great way. It's put us in a position where we can keep our infrastructure strong, our public safety strong, and still protect our bond ratings. So because she's here tonight with Troy Youth Assistance, I just encourage folks to really help themselves understand what we're managing and how delicate this is, given the millage cap that we have. And I don't want to fritter it away because we don't have that collective understanding, and I fear that could happen. Because it takes a collective understanding to protect it. And I appreciate you speaking to it again tonight. I don't think we can be overly repetitive because it's complicated. So thank you.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Erickson Gall?
Yeah. When I was going through the statement, one thing I didn't see, and correct me if I'm wrong, is on our property taxes, do we break it down somehow how much of that comes from residential versus commercial or industrial sources?
Yeah, we do not in the financial statements. That's at a higher level. But I can get that breakdown for you, and I can share that with council at the next meeting or just correspond with you guys directly. Sure.
Great. I'd appreciate that. One of the things I've heard is that over the years, the amount of property taxes coming from residential has been, it used to be that we got much more from commercial industrial sources, and it's kind of tilted now where most of our property taxes are coming from residential. And I'd like to know if that's an accurate statement or...
Sure. I'll follow up with you and get that for you.
Great. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
I'll say one interesting caveat to that is that apartments and other rented areas are often commercial when it comes to property tax instead of, I believe that's correct, right? They come up as commercial parcels. So it's a little different than we thought, but it actually means there's more residential covering our property tax, and even the numbers will show. So we have.
And I guess one of the comments I would make too is I work with the assessor on this all the time. He gets several questions all the time from residents, and I'm sure you do too, about property taxes. And when you look at a bill, ours are approximately, the city's portion of the property taxes is about 27%. So the majority of the property tax, if someone says, oh, I have $3,000 or $4,000 in property taxes, the majority of it is for the schools, the county, et cetera, and it's not even the city. If you actually look at what value you get from the city, it's a great value, and that's something that we should be proud of.
Questions or comments? I just want to say thank you. I think this slide up here actually is very, very telling for a number of reasons. I've heard a lot over the past few months especially, all this development that's happening in Troy, it's clearly just a grab for property taxes and we should have enough money by now. But interestingly, this slide shows that we're still not even with all the new development we've had, we're still below where we were 10 years ago.
In nominal dollars.
Right, and I think I think that's probably pretty difficult for people to comprehend because it just doesn't seem like it could be possible. But yeah. I know when Nino's been here, he's always very concerned about how long it will actually take to get us back to where we were.
And I normally don't want to show you guys 10 years of data, but I thought this was important. I'll probably show it one more year and then I'll go to about 4 years of data, but you get the point.
Yeah. Well, thank you both, and thank you for the good, concise, and informative presentation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is carryover items. We don't have any this evening. Public hearings, and we also have none of those. Public comment for items on the agenda. I don't see that anybody has signed up this evening, so we have no public comment, and which means we have no need for City Council or City Administration response or reply to public comment. There are no postponed items, so we move on to regular business. First up are board and committee appointments. There are no mayoral appointments this evening, but we do have some City Council appointments, and I'll defer to Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. Troy City Council moves to appoint to the Liquor Advisory Committee David Ashland for the term expiring January 31st, 2021, Andrew Kaltsunas and Michael Pendy for the terms expiring 1/31/2022.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton and supported by Councilmember Abraham that we appoint to the Liquor Advisory Committee David Ashland for the term expiring January 31st, 2021, and Andrew Kaltsonis and Michael Pendy for the terms expiring January 31st, 2022. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Excuse me. Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you to those three who continue to serve on our board. We appreciate it very much.
For the Troy City Council moves to appoint to the Parks and Recreation Board Kelly Martin for the term expiring September 30th, 2020.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton and supported by Councilmember Hoderick that we appoint Kelly Martin to the Parks and Recreation Board for the term expiring September 30, 2020. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you to Kelly for agreeing to serve on that board. It's an important one.
And Troy City Council moves to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton to the Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments for the term expiring November 8th, 2021.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton and supported by Councilperson Erickson Galt, I believe, that we appoint Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton to the Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments, SEMCOG, for the term expiring 11/8/2021. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes appointments for this evening. We move on to I2 for board and committee nominations. This evening to the Global Troy Advisory Committee, I'd like to appoint Mayor Ethan Baker to the term, the City Council term, Sunil Sekri to the term expiring October 30th, 2021, Emily Nacy to the term expiring October 30, 2022, and Carolina Noguez Ortiz to the term expiring October 30, 2022.
Support.
Moved by the chair and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton that we nominate those 4 individuals as read into the record to the Global Troy Advisory Committee. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon?
Councilmember Erickson Galt,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton,
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick,
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington,
Yes.
Mayor Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham,
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks.
Yes.
Motion carries. That's it for mayoral nominations this evening. Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton.
Thank you. To the Employee Retirement System Board of Trustees and Retiree Healthcare Benefits Plan and Trust, I'd like to renominate Mark Ozarzak for the defined benefit non-voting trustee position for a term expiring December 31st, 2022.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton and supported by Councilmember Hoderick that we appoint Mark Ozarzak to the Employee Retirement System Board of Trustees, Retiree Healthcare Benefits Plan and Trust for the term expiring December 31st, 2022. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
To the Historic District Commission, I would like to nominate Hirak Chanda for the term expiring March 1st, 2021.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton and supported by Councilmember Abraham that we nominate Hirak Chanda to the Historic District Commission for the term expiring March 1st, 2021. Any discussion? Vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And finally, I would like to nominate to the Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments for the alternate position, Glenn Lapin, for the term expiring November 8th, 2021.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton, supported by Councilmember Hoderick, that we appoint Glenn Lapin as the alternate to the Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments for the term expiring 11/8/2021.
This is just nominate.
Did I say appoint?
You said appoint.
Correction, to nominate. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Motion carries. We're good?
We're good.
All right, next up is I3, request for closed session. Councilmember Pennington.
I'd like to move I3, request for closed session as printed.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Pennington and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton that we approve I3, request for closed session as printed. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Motion carries. I4 is a Plant Moran and City of Troy engagement letter to be introduced by City Attorney Lori Grigg-Bloom.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And this is just a follow-up from the last meeting. And this is an investigation process that Council has authorized. The resolution puts a limit not to exceed $30,000. Again, assuming that Council is going to approve this, then Plant Moran will start their investigative process immediately.
Any questions for City Management, City Attorney? Councilmember Pennington.
City Attorney Bloom, I'm just curious with the second paragraph, does this leave us open to, it says, be it further resolved that although the entire scope of work is not expected to cost more than this, not to exceed some, City Council agrees to consider requests for additional compensations. Would they have to come to us beforehand, before they continue?
Yes, and again, we estimate that it will cost less than $30,000, but we're not sure. And of course, if they come back to you for additional compensation, they will need to explain why it's necessary. So that's in there just because you may or may not get a full and complete report for the $30,000. But we wanted to provide Council with the opportunity, should you desire more work to be done, that you have the opportunity to approve additional payments.
So they'll have to come to us in a closed session if they want to further the investigation and charge more.
They will have to come to you. I'm not sure the method or the mechanics of that,
Okay.
but you would have to approve something before any additional work is done.
Thank you.
City Attorney Bloom, just to follow up and clarify that. So I think the concern is they do the work anyway and then come back and say, oh, we actually need this more amount of money more, right? Which has happened in the past. So just to clarify, and it'll be clear to them in the engagement letter that there will be no, I mean, if they get to that point, which we don't expect them to, they would have to do a hard stop until seeking additional funds from council, and it would be up to council to determine.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
$30,000. It will not exceed $30,000 unless and until council approves in excess of funds.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. Any other questions? I'd like to move the resolution. Councilmember Pennington.
I'll move I-4, Plant Moran and City of Troy engagement letter as printed.
Support.
Moved by Councilman Pennington and supported by Councilmember Abraham that we approve I-4, Plant Moran and City of Troy engagement letter as printed. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, City Attorney Bloom. Next is the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to pull any items on the consent agenda this evening? Councilmember Pennington?
I will move all items on the consent agenda as printed.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Pennington and supported by Councilmember Erickson Galt that we approve all items on the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Erickson Galt?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoderick?
Yes.
Councilmember Pennington?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Abraham?
Yes.
Motion carries. If you're here this evening on a consent agenda item, they've all been approved. There are no memorandums and future council agenda items, and I don't see that anybody signed up for public comment for items not on the agenda, which means there's no response by City Council or City Administration. There are no council referrals, so we're on to council comments. Anybody have any council comments this evening? Councilmember Pennington.
So I've been doing this for 7+ years, and I've never seen that no one has a public comment for items on the agenda or not on the agenda. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It was approved, yes.
That's all approved.
Yeah.
You can sign up, we didn't see it in the
Okay. Okay. So traditionally, there's a sign up out in the hallway at the kiosk. When we adjourn, I'm happy to talk to you for a couple minutes or something, just find out what's on your mind. But unfortunately, we're past the public comment stage. Thank you.
In the future, you can actually sign up 15 minutes into the meeting. You have up until 15 minutes after the meeting started, but usually people sign up before the meeting to speak.
Okay. Any other council comments? Councilmember Erickson Galt.
Yes, I'm doing this for my friend Cindy. I want to make sure that everybody knows about our holiday tree lighting celebration coming up this Friday at 6:30 p.m. It begins here at City Hall, and there are a lot of other fun activities will be happening at the Library and Community Center. And if you want more information, you can go to the City of Troy website to get specifics, but please come. I'm going to be there, and I'm looking forward to it.
Councilmember Brooks.
So tomorrow evening, there's a Narcan training that is being put on by the Troy Police Department, Community Coalition, Alliance of Coalition, I think so. It's at the Troy Public Library between the hours of 7 to 8:45. I know I participated in this training. I know Mayor Baker did, at least this summer. And it is a wonderful training. There is an opiate epidemic that is unfortunately ravaging across the United States. And, you know, in Troy, we're not immune to that. And so it's important for education, resources, and hopefully, with this training, you can potentially even save somebody's life. So it's wonderful for people to consider attending.
Anybody else? All right, we're going to move on to reports. Does anybody have any comments on the reports this evening? Seeing none, we do have a closed session this evening, so we will recess into the closed session and adjourn from there.